my name is Dina Burkey and welcome to my YouTube channel. In case you're new here, I'm a young adult fiction author and I am back with another Big Brother update. I did my last one a week ago. I have been watching obviously, but there has been a lot of different things that have kind of take precedence, like soccer. And so it's been a little bit since I've updated a week, obviously. And so tonight I just wanted to kind of bring you my thoughts and feelings on what's currently going on in the house. Before I explain where I'm at, my headspace, Bobby, who's been in, I think, maybe one or two of my other videos, I honestly can't remember now, he had a little bit to say. He sent me his video, like, mid-episode, and I wanted him to go first on this one, and you'll see why in a minute. So without further ado, take it away, Bobby, with your thoughts on current gameplay in the house.
Hi, Dana. It's Bobby again. We're doing another Bobby's Thoughts on Big Brother. It's been a long time since we've done one of these. It's been kind of slow going, but I've got some fun thoughts to share on this week and the latest goings-on in the Big Brother house. You know, so far it's honestly been kind of boring and predictable, to be real honest with you. There hasn't been a lot of big moves made yet. There hasn't been a lot of backdoors yet, which is kind of disappointing, especially for an all-star season. That's kind of what you want to see, but so far it's been pretty predictable with what's going to happen. And you know, one other thing I noticed, obviously we saw tonight Danny put up David and Kevin, which I thought was honestly kind of a cowardly move, to be honest with you. It's weird because a few weeks ago, Danny gave Memphis a hard time for not making big moves and not putting up big players. I think she called him like it's kind of a rookie mistake, kind of not putting up bigger players. But then she goes and does the exact same thing she was accusing Memphis of doing, which is to put up kind of floaters, players who aren't that big of a threat. So it's kind of odd. I don't like that she just kind of did what she was giving someone else a hard time for doing. In past years I really liked Danny, but this time around I don't really. I'm not really rooting for her to win. But yeah, other than that, it's going pretty good this year. I think that, it's kind of, as I said, not full of surprises yet. I'm hoping some of the powers will change that. I'm pretty sure David's going to use his power to pull himself off. Just why wouldn't he, Yeah, but very excited to have Big Brother back at all, which is great. And I'm just hoping that maybe picks up a little bit. Still rooting for Ian to win. Or Christmas would be fun too. So those are my top two. And it's interesting, this year there really hasn't been any showmances, which is to be expected given that most of the players are a lot older. A lot of them are married or in long-term relationships. So there really isn't much of a spot for showmances, which I think is kind of cool because that leaves room for more strategy and more smart play rather than emotional play. So anyway, I'm excited to see what happens next, excited to see what happens this week, and wondering if Danny's going to use her power to play for HOH again next week. We'll have to see. All right, that's it for me. Bye.
So you guys, I have to start by saying I have been chatting game with Bobby every summer for probably 2 or 3 summers now. We'll go back and forth like every single episode, every single week. Like, did you see this? Did you watch that? Sometimes we'll like live message during the episode. Sometimes we're like, oh, I have plans, and so we'll check in later. But this is the first time Bobby and I agree on literally almost everything. Like, it's insane. The one thing we don't agree on is who we want to make it to the end, and I'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, I love Ian. I just don't think a champion will make it to the end, and I think Christmas is someone that has the potential to go far, but she's not like one of my top faves, so yeah. But all in all, like, this season has been really uneventful, and that's really shocking for an all-star season. And I know there has been like some stuff, and like it's still exciting to like see certain people in the house, but it's definitely been a little bit of a bummer compared to other seasons, and I hope that we're at a point where it's going to start ramping up. But like, I don't really worry about watching live too much, because sometimes I do get like the spoilers or whatever, but then also just because like I am not super invested in a lot of the gameplay that's happening. So like this past Thursday, like I didn't watch live on Thursday at all. I can't remember if I did on Wednesday, but Thursday was a soccer game and that was more important. There's been days I've missed because I was like at the gym or because I had like a work event, and it's like not been that big of a deal. And I think that speaks to how kind of boring the season is in a lot of ways. And actually one of my coworkers, I just found out like probably 3 weeks ago that she watches Big Brother. And that, like, she has in the past, too, like, not just this season. And I asked her, like, I checked in with her on Friday, and she was like, yeah, like, I'm, like, 1 episode behind. It's, like, not that big of a deal, though. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. And then she's like, yeah, I'm not really watching because it's so boring. And I was like, okay. And I thought about it more and more, and it was so true. Like, it has been just really boring. And I think a lot of that is because of it's like the same people that are in power the whole way. Now, that being said, like, those are the people that, like, as far as like the committee, like, those are people that I would like to see go far in this game. But, like, still, the game's just been really slow, and it's definitely been a bummer. And then the other thing going into this week, and I think I mentioned it in my video that I made last week, that I wasn't sure who was going to win HOH, but I honestly, didn't really want it to be Danny, because I haven't really loved her gameplay. I think she's being just like a little bit two-faced. And I know like that's the name of the game in Big Brother, but like I don't know, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And like I've never been like a huge Danny fan. Like her first season I didn't watch live. I've seen like clips, but I never watched the whole thing. And then her second season I really didn't care for her too much, and I think part of that could have been because her game was really like messed up when her dad left. And like no like shame to him at all, but I think it really just like affected like how she was going to go about playing the game, and so we didn't get to see like an authentic her just playing it. And so this time around I was hoping that it would be a little bit better because she was aligning with Nicole F, who is of course my favorite in the house. And she was in the committee and then kind of in the Slick Six, but like all in all I haven't really just loved it. And so the fact that tonight she won HOH was a little bit of a bummer to me because I would have rather it go to other people. However, when Cody was up there, it was Cody, Nicole, and Danny, and Cody made the comment that he was sick of getting blood on his hands and he wanted the girls to win. I was like, okay, now I'm a little more like okay with Danny being HOH. I had previously found out Danny was HOH if I didn't say that yet. I think I looked up a spoiler because I knew I wasn't watching live and I assumed it was an episode. It like ended with the HOH already crowned. So yeah, I was kind of okay with it then, and I was glad Nicole F didn't win for that reason, but she did really like show her strength by making it that long in the competition. So I was like proud of her for that. But yeah, other thing I want to mention is we have this big huge feud that's going on with Nicole, or not with Nicole, with like Day, Bay, and Christmas, that big blow up. And I think what the girls were saying was very true. How Christmas was running around and she's slapping her hands and she's getting all crazy. And it was like she did that and people probably were just like, oh, she got upset, period. But then if Day or Bay did it, it would have been like, oh, like here she is, like throwing a fit, being ghetto. Like that was the phrase that they kept saying. Like they're like, if I did that, like people would label me as like just this ghetto black girl. And it is so honestly and unfortunately true that like that's what people would have said, and that's what would have been on the internet, and that's so unfair. And I think it's really frustrating because like I don't see that. I don't look at them and like see the way that they have like, aggressive sometimes personalities or aggressive moments, whatever, have anything to do with the color of their skin. Like that's more their personality than anything. But I know that like it gets twisted on the internet, and that's so unfortunate. And I think Christmas really did cross a line when she's like clapping at people while arguing. Like that's just messy, and that's just rude. And I really commend Day and Bay for like staying like level-headed, because they are people on the show that have been known to like kind of pop off or whatever, and that happens to everybody. But I do know that because of this color of their skin, a lot of people see it as like this much bigger deal than it needs to be, and it's not that. And I think that was really cool that Big Brother like left those comments in, and we really got to like see that. And I hope that there are people out there who have said negative things about Day and Bay that like stop and realize and go like, oh, like for judging them about popping off on people and making it about race is like not okay at all, period. I also really loved how Kevin got to just talk about the fact that he is a gay man on the show who is maybe more feminine than some other gay men, and how he's getting to represent not just himself but an entire community, and it was beautiful, and I love that we get that real talk. That was kind of like a side tangent on what's going on in the house, and just yeah. Speaking of Day though, I think this is my favorite moment of the whole season so far. When she was like, I don't want to win this. And like, she just watched her best friend go home. Like, best friend in the house, her ride or die. Like, it was super upsetting, like, of course, to watch that and for her to go through that. So she falls off the wall first in the comp. And she's like, talking about how she didn't want to win, but then she immediately was like crying. And I'm watching it, like, and I was confused for half a second, because she tricked me. And she was like, I would lose every competition. See how I did it? And I was like, shut up. Like, I immediately texted Bobby and was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, Day, go off. Like, that was such a moment. of her like sobbing. Christmas is consoling her. She's like, I'm losing. I went out first. And we all knew she was fine. She didn't care. She didn't want to win. And it was amazing. And I really, really loved that. It is interesting, though, that she kind of told Christmas, like, I'm not going to put you on the block. And really, she's planning to, like, backstab her. But, like, we're going to deal with that when we get to it. Because the big important thing that happened was nominations. And we have Kevin and David on the block, which I think are just two kind of floaters. And obviously, David has his power. He's going to take himself off the block. But what is Danny going to do? Is she going to put Tyler up? And the real question is, if Tyler finds himself on the block on eviction night, what will the house vote? He's in an alliance with a lot of people. Cody's already said that's a bigger target than he is. I, for one, want to see Tyler win this whole game. I would love to see Tyler win, and if not, Cody. Like, those are my two favorites. Those are my two picks in this game. But are the boys in the house, are they enough to get the votes to keep him? And will they get rid of him and jeopardize their own game? That's the real question. I will say I have looked up a little bit of spoilers, but I'm not going to mention those in this video. You guys can comment them. I know we only have 2 days to wait until the next episode, so it's going to be a little bit earlier than usual. Tuesday, tune in. But I just want to see people play the game. You know, Danny said that it's too soon to take shots. She criticized Memphis for doing just that, like Bobby mentioned. I want to see her make shots. It's not too soon in the game. We're into jury. We're now at a critical point where you need to prove yourself. If you can't get out big dogs now, then you're not one of them. You're just not. And so I don't know how the rest of this week is going to play out and what eviction night's going to look like. But we do know, too, that Danny has a power and she can play in HOH again. It will be game-changing if by some miracle or the roll of the dice she's able to get Tyler out and win HOH again. Do I think that could happen? Sure. Do I think it will happen? I don't think she'll win HOH again. I don't really foresee that happening. And I honestly am not really sure that Cody and Enzo will vote out Tyler because he is a big threat. I think some of the girls are maybe going to vote that way, especially to appease Danny, but I don't really know. It's going to be an interesting 2 days. Once we have veto play out, then it'll really be about the vote. But I hope that this is ramping up. Like, as much as I want Tyler to make it the whole way, like, make big game moves. Do big things. Get brave. This is All-Stars. Act like it. Like, do big things. I just can't. I can't stop saying that enough. So, yeah, that's where my head is at. And obviously, like, Bobby very much agreed with it. That's why I wanted to put his thoughts first, because it was like, yeah, retweet. I second that. Let's go. I would really, really, really like to see just the gameplay amped up. Like, crank it up to 11, straight, like, Spinal Tap style, okay? If you're too young to get that reference, that's okay. But the big thing about me making this video is I want to know what you guys think. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, but then comment below your thoughts, your feelings. Who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting against? What are your current feelings about people in the house, situations in the house, what's going on, blah, 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 left, right, and center. Tell me. Just make sure as you're doing so, you are just, I mean, like, express yourself and how you feel, but just do so, like, with, like, be civil about it. I always, like, try to say, like, with civility, and it feels too weird. So just, like, be civil and understand that, like, I have a lot of young followers, and, like, you can make your point without, like, using foul language. That's just, like, my only request. But, like, if you completely disagree with everything I just said, like, that's fine. Comment it, and, like, convince me. If you think everything I said was stupid, like, convince me why it's wrong and like, show me your side of it. Like, let's chat about it. Like, Bobby and I don't generally agree, but we still talk all the time about Big Brother because we don't agree, and we can, like, talk about different sides and different things and past events and things, and I absolutely love it. And then finally, make sure you're subscribed to my channel with notifications on so you find out as soon as new videos are posted. I do have a playlist, I believe, that's Big Brother. If not, I will be making one, like, ASAP. So like, check out that, like, look for that. But I will definitely plan on doing a video this Thursday, because I think they won't have 2 weeks in a row where we don't know HOH at the end of the night. So it's going to really be critical. Plus, depending on how voting goes, who knows, maybe I'll actually do, like, a live reaction. So I'll, like, film myself throughout watching the episode. Maybe we'll do that. So stay tuned. It's going to be awesome either way. And hopefully this is the beginning of gameplay getting ramped up in this game, because it is go time let's do this thing for sure. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching. Shout out to Bobby again for making his video that I was actually able to agree with. So weird still in my mind. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.